Okay. So the very simple topic and mostly asked question in the interview is also this one. So what is the difference between waterfall and agile methodology? So in waterfall testing, the testing begins after the development builds phases of the process are completed. That's the waterfall model process. So in agile testing, the testing starts in the along with the development phases. You don't need to wait till the development completes. Here you need to wait till development completes to start the testing activities. But here in the agile, you don't need to wait. You will continue your activities along with the development. So parallelly it will happen. So in waterfall testing, the process of planning is finalized and done before the testing phase. So in agile testing, the process of planning is not just done before the project starts, but also continues until its completion. So it continuously, every 3 months, I told her plan iteration. The planning will happen every 3 months. That's frequently the planning is going to happen on that. In waterfall testing, the test plans are not revised during the project. In agile testing, the test plans are reviewed after each sprint. So that's a difference between so whether a review is going to happen on the test plans or not. So waterfall testing is very challenging. So because to propose and implement any changes in the requirement once the process has started. If the process starts, you are not going to accept any requirement change in the waterfall. So in the agile testing, so whatever the changes comes, you have to accommodate them and then execute that, implement and execute the test cases. So that's a agile process. In waterfall testing, test cases are created just once for all functionalities. In agile testing, test cases are created after each sprint for the functionalities. In waterfall testing, acceptance testing is performed only once by the client after the release. But in agile testing, acceptance criteria is tested during each iteration. So in waterfall testing, there is a clear distinction between test teams and development teams. In the agile environments, the testing teams and development teams work together as an integrated unit. So we call that as a Scrum team. So both are one team only. But in the waterfall, both are different teams. So in waterfall testing, regression testing is hardly ever done because it entails the execution of all the test cases at the end. So that's why you have a less time. In agile testing, regression testing is so continuously we'll do iteration by iteration. Every iteration after we will do regression testing. So that's the difference between agile methodology and waterfall method. Please make sure if you don't remember every point, at least 3 to 4 above, at least between 5 till 5 at least, you remember the few points. So if you can list out a few 5 points is more than enough. Okay, so please read more number of times, then it is going to be easy. Continuous reading and that will improve. Okay. Yeah, so that's it. Then let's move on to the very important topic. So I want to introduce a test plan, right? Test plan I want to introduce. Let's go to test plan and then we'll come back to. So test plan is basically a document. So that document basically it has some predefined headings will be there. So those headings will be crucial for any kind of environments. Like, let me show you. This is the one, test plan. So test plan is a document. So basically which describes objectives, okay, what you need to do as part of testing. Scope, okay, what you are going to test, what you are not going to test. Approach, which methodology you are going to use, which like waterfall methodology or agile methodology, or what are the different type of testings you will perform, manual and functional testing, non-functional testing, and what are the different type of testings you will use, and so how much time you need to finish that. The effort also will be discussed in this test plan document. So why do you need a test plan? So it is very useful to find the product is validated and all the acceptance criteria is met. It is working fine if you want to ensure that. So you need a test plan for every new features. So even other team members also can easily identify, okay, this test plan belongs to a particular project. Okay, who are involved in this project? So what are they testing? So everything you can find in the test plan document. That's why test plan document is a very important. Then test cases will be there. That is a different. So test plan is a very broader picture will give you. Okay, who are all involved in this project? What is their roles and responsibilities? And if any risk comes, how you can handle them? And what are the documents you will use for this project? And what are the different versions of that document? And what is the scope? And overview of the application? And what is the testing approach you are following? And for each type of testing, when you will start, when you will end, and so defect definition, and so risk contingency mitigation plans. And these are the different points you're going to cover. Any training required, schedules. So when to start testing, when to end testing, what are the deliverables? So this is the sample test plan document. Feature to be tested, that's in scope. Features not to be tested, you are not going to test them. So test levels, what are the different test levels, test types? Entry criteria and exit criteria, suspension criteria, and test deliverables. What are the different environments you need to test? And reference documents, risk contingency mitigation plans, and training, any training required. Maybe you're working on manual testing, you need to upgrade your skills to automation. So they will provide a training internally in the company. So what are the different members in the project? What are their roles and responsibility will be mentioned very clearly in the test plan document. So staffing and training and estimations, how many, so hours of time you need or days you need to finish the testing of each user story, that will be given here in the scheduling column. So what is the effort you need to finish testing and provide a sign off. So that's the testing. And there is a one test approach, test strategy. Test policy means rules for testing. You need to follow the rules. That's it. Test strategy means overall high level approach in the entire company. And test plan is for particular project. Test strategy is a very high level, a company level. Standards, basically templates, we call them, right? The templates will be set by this test strategy. So test plan is for particular project. Test strategy won't change, but test plan can change from project to project. So let's discuss in detail that test plan and test strategy differences. So test plan of any project. So it's just a document. Word document, which defines the scope, objectives, approach, and main focus on the software testing effort. So in the test plan document, the scheduling is the crucial element in the test plan document, because that's you should know the when to start and when to end, and all when the development team will finish. So all these details will be included in the test plan document. Test strategy is a set of guidelines. So that explains the test design and determines how testing needs to be done. So the components of test plan is test plan ID, features to be tested, features not to be tested, and what are the different testing approaches, and pass and fail criteria. What are the deliverables, schedules, roles and responsibilities, so risk contingency mitigation plans, so training required. All these fields will be there in the test plan document. That's the components of a test plan document. So the test plan document components means content means what is there in the test plan document. So that's what just now I listed out all the points. Those are the content. The contents of test strategies. So here also similar almost, but you have extra documentation formats. Okay, your test plan format will be there. So your company test plan format or a test case document format. So some predefined templates will be there in the test strategy. So client communication, how you will do, a reporting structure, how it will be there. So those will be there in the test strategy document. So test plan is carried out by test manager. Test strategy is carried out by project manager. Test plan narrates about the specification, how to test, and test strategy narrates about the general approaches for the entire company. Test plan can change, test strategy cannot be changed. So test planning is done to determine possible issues and dependencies, and test strategy is a long-term plan of action. Test plan exists individually, but some smaller project test strategy is part of test plan. So test plan is defined at a project level. Test strategy is designed at organization level. So that's the difference between test plan and test strategy. Any questions? Okay, let's move on the testing
Like in
techniques.
test plan, in test plan, we'll be defining the activities whatever we are going to define, or test manager will define it, and then test manager and test lead will be including here.
Yeah, mainly test manager or test lead will be participating in the test plan design. You are not going to do. If you are experienced and you are leading the team and you know everything, then you will prepare test plan.
Okay.
Otherwise, manager will prepare the test plan document.
Okay.
Are we good or any questions?
Okay. We're good.
Yeah. So then we have a testing techniques. So there are two types of testing techniques. One is static testing technique, dynamic testing techniques. Static testing technique, again, so it is just examined manually, like that's a verification. Example for a static testing technique is a verification activities. So you won't execute anything, right? You will just watch that. You will just look at that, whether that is present or not, the documents are correct or not. That's what you will do in the verification. So that static means doesn't change. So the execution of the testing, just examining the documents, not to execute anything. So it's not executed. The example for static testing technique is reviews, inspections, walkthroughs. So there is a dynamic testing technique. Basically, software is executed by providing an input to the fields of the application and get the output, and you will just verify both expected and actual data, actual results. So that is called dynamic testing technique. So basically software is executed here. How you will execute? By giving an input on the fields of the application, and then automatically when you submit or click something, internally code will be executed. Then the page status or element status will move. So that's the dynamic testing technique. So there are again three types of dynamic testing techniques: black box testing technique, so white box testing technique, and gray box testing technique. So dynamic testing categorized into again three: black box, white box, gray box testing. So what is black box testing? So black box testing is nothing but you will mainly focus on the external behavior of the application, how it is behaving externally. You won't bother about the internal code. What is they have written, how developer has written the code. You don't need to bother about that. Your main focus is, okay, whatever is visible to you, is it working properly or not? Is it moving to other pages properly or not when you click on that? Each link is working or not? Are you able to register to the website or not? Are you able to log into the website or not? Are you able to do a search, particular product if it is a e-commerce or something? So based on the domain type, so the functionalities will vary. But functionality is nothing but whether the application functions are working correctly or not, you will validate. That's a functionality means, functionality checkup. So black box testing, white box testing, gray box testing, these are the three, but black box is mainly a functional testing. So it mainly focuses on the external behavior of the application, not internal logic or code of the application. It mainly concentrate on the requirements. So whether the requirements are fulfilled in the application or not, are they working or not, you will verify. That's the black box testing. So again, black box testing categorized into 5: equivalence class partitioning, boundary value analysis, decision table testing, state transition testing, error guessing. Then white box testing, we have branch statement coverage, decision coverage, branch path testing. And we have gray box testing. So this white box testing mainly focus on the internal code. Basically, you will mainly understand internal code. And then you will write the test cases to test the code. That's a white box testing. You should have a knowledge on the programming language to write the white box testing techniques, test cases. Gray box testing means who is having both manual and automation testing. That's a gray box testers. So let's see what is black box. I already told this, and advantages is tester can be a non-technical. You don't need to be a technical guy. That means you don't need any programming knowledge. You just need a fair communication skills, understanding capability, and just executing them based on the requirements. That's good enough for manual testing. So it doesn't matter what degree you are, what you have studied in your academics, not necessary. For this particular degree, not required. So just applying these techniques, that's enough. So it is used to verify contradictions in the system behavior, customer expectation, both you compare. If both are same, you can say, okay, it is working as per expectation. If not working, you can raise a bug. That deviations you will find out in the black box testing. So you will design the test cases as per the requirements. As I mentioned, user stories, right? Requirements, a small description of a functionality is called a user story. So Epic is a big functionality that can't be finished in one sprint. So that's why they will split into multiple user stories, and it will be so divided and break all the epics into multiple smaller functionality, and then develop in each sprint one by one. So that then you will design the test cases. That's a crucial step. I'll show you how to write the test cases after this. So disadvantage of black box testing is, so the tester needs to prepare a test data. If you want to test, you need some test data. That test data preparation is a very difficult task. So it is difficult to identify all possible inputs in a limited testing time, because we have very less time. But you have to test all possible conditions, it's not possible. So there are chances of having unidentified paths during this testing. Unidentified paths means you might miss some scenarios because you cannot cover everything, right? So that is what this, there might be a chance of missing some test cases due to time constraint or due to data issue. You cannot complete everything. Next, what type of test data commonly you will interact in the applications? So valid test data, invalid test data, boundary test data, wrong data, absent data. So these are the different type of test data you need to prepare. So valid data means the data is correct. Like, username, password, if you take, you're giving a correct username, password, that's a valid test data. That's a valid test data. Invalid data means, so the invalid values, you give a invalid values. For example, mobile number, you give invalid mobile number. So then that's invalid test data. Boundary test data. For example, your field accepts 15 characters. You try giving a lower boundary and upper boundary, and lower boundary outside, upper boundary outside, and the middle of the, so that length. So that the boundary conditions you need to test. There are 6 values you will get with the boundary test data. Once you know the formulas, you can generate the, whenever there is a range. So wrong data, you are giving invalid, wrong data, not invalid, wrong data, that you should not give, but you are giving that. So for example, date, you're giving a characters. That's a wrong data, right? So such kind of wrong data. And absent data, you are not giving any data. So you're trying to hit without any data. That's absent data. So these are the different type of test data you need to prepare while testing the applications. So there are black box testing techniques, 5 black box testing techniques, as I mentioned. First one is equivalence class partitioning. So what is mean by equivalence class partitioning? So if there is a input range that you divide, equal classes. So the equivalence class partitioning. Partition the input range into equal ranges, equal classes. That is called equivalence class partitioning. In this equal partitioning, you will have a valid and invalid data. So generate one test case for each valid and invalid equivalence classes. Suppose an input box or edit box accepts 50 characters. So how many classes you can generate here is, the 50 can be equally divided, like 1 to 10, one range. This is the one class. 11 to 20, another class. See, between this class and this class, what is the difference? 10, right? From 1 to 10, 10. Here also 10. So equally I'm dividing 21 to 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50, 51 to 60. So these are all the equal classes. You divide these 50 characters. So when you give a 1 to 10, if it is, you cannot test 50 characters, all of them, right? Instead of that, what you can do, okay, so 5 characters I'll give. If it accepts, the field accepts, then you don't need to test in other number characters. So for example, if you test 19 characters, you don't need to test other characters. Then you can mark this class as a pass. And this also same 26 characters you take and give input to this input box. If it accepts, this class is passed. 31 to 40, same. 41 to 50, same. Then 51 to 60 is a invalid equivalence class because out of boundary. So here also minus empty data if you give, that's out of boundary, and if you give, so that's again so that basically you can reduce or increase the partition size. Each partition, for example, I don't want these many input classes. So in each class, one data is enough. You don't need to test all 10 datas. So that test one test data, and then if it accepts, then you can mark that test class as passed. But instead of this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? 6 equivalence classes, I converted this one. Instead of that, can we reduce? So as a matter of time, what I can do, I can reduce the number of classes. How can you reduce this? So number of classes, instead of 10, 10, 10, 10, I can reduce only 2 classes I want. So 1 to 25, 26 to 50. Only 2 classes. You don't need to test each like this. If you have less time, you based on the time factor, you divide this input range into equal classes. That is called equivalence class partitioning. So this is used only for edit boxes or input boxes. Whenever there is a range, that cases only this technique will be applied. Then why do you need these techniques? To generate the test cases. Positive, negative test cases you can generate with these techniques. Are we good? Let's join back and we'll discuss on boundary value analysis. So if you have any questions, let me know. This one, ECP, equivalence class partitioning. Dividing the input range into equal classes is called equivalence class partitioning. We'll discuss boundary value analysis once you join back.